Hello, and welcome to the American Rescue Plan, or ARP, EANS 2 statewide training program from TEA's Department of Grant and Compliance and Administration. This is a recorded presentation. Question and answer sessions for this application will be held on separate dates and will be listed towards the end of this training. Today's presenters include Lawrence Quintero-Poltz and Nick Davis. Our contact information is listed here. We also have a dedicated email account for the EANS program for schools to submit program inquiries or any program or technical related concerns at the email on the far right, eans@tea.texas.gov. This presentation is intended solely to provide general information and guidance to Texas LEAs, ESCs, and participating private schools, and reflects TEA's current understanding of statute and applicable federal guidance. The content of this presentation is subject to change as a result of further potential information and guidance provided by federal agencies with regulatory oversight of these programs. This presentation does not constitute legal advice, and entities are therefore advised to seek legal counsel regarding the information and guidance provided in this presentation before acting on such information and guidance. The content of today's presentation includes the following. We will begin with the website and EANS-related resources offered by the TEA and the Department of Education. It'll be followed by an overview of the ARP EANS 2 grant program and important deadlines and information that pertain to private schools and TEA. It'll be followed by a live online demonstration of the ARP EANS 2 application for private schools, including scheduled Q&A session dates for this particular program. This training will be made public on TEA EANS program YouTube webpage. The first resources are the primary website links for TEA EANS program. We have our program website listed at the very top. If you happen to be in TEA's homepage, you can get to our program by hovering over finance and grants, and then clicking on Emergency Assistance to Non-Public Schools Grant Program. We also have our EANS program FAQs and submission link. You can click on the FAQs link to look at questions already submitted by schools with TEA responses. Schools can also click on the submission form if they would like to submit a question to the TEA EANS team. And again, we have our EANS website, our EANS email account at the very bottom. We also have additional website resources. The DSHS website provided by the Texas Department of Human Services will be used by schools to complete the COVID-19 impact on PMP's section of the application. The second resource is federal guidance from the Department of Education, which includes their ARP EANS 2 webpage link and also their FAQs on all EANS programs. A highlight for the ARP EANS 2 program includes the following authorization under the American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, publication L number 117-2 from March 11, 2021, authorized a second round of funding for ARP EANS 2 to provide services or assistance to non-public schools. With two exceptions, the requirements of the ARP EANS 2 program are the same as those in Section 312D of the CARISA Act. The two exceptions under the ARP EANS 2 program are as follows. The state educational agency, or SEA, may only provide services or assistance under ARP EANS 2 to non-public schools that enroll a significant percentage of students from low-income families and are most impacted by the novel coronavirus or COVID-19 emergency, and an SEA may not use ARP EANS 2 to provide reimbursements to any non-public school for costs the school incurred to address the impact of the COVID-19 emergency. Schools should not expect any type of reimbursement under this program, as all services and assistance must be procured by TEA's third-party contracted partner. Another program highlight for the ARP EANS 2 program is that this is for assistance and services only. No reimbursements will be provided to nonprofit schools. TEA administers the program statewide, and TEA will be working with a third-party contractor to implement the EANS program activities and to provide assistance and services directly or via the third-party contractor. More information will be provided via email to participating schools once a third-party contractor has been confirmed. Next, we look at PNP eligibility information. An eligible non-public school who applies for ARP EANS 2 services is not a recipient of federal financial assistance. And as such, the school will not receive a notice of grant award or NOGA, as they are the recipients of the services and assistance. The governor is the recipient of the award, and statute requires a public agency to control and administer the funds and to keep title to materials, equipment, or property purchased with ARP EANS 2 funds. Unlike the CRRSA EANS 1 program, no reimbursements are provided under the ARP EANS 2 program. Additional eligibility criteria include the following. An eligible non-public school is an elementary or secondary school that is nonprofit, is accredited, licensed, or otherwise operates in accordance with state law, was in existence prior to March 13th, 2020, the date COVID-19 was declared a national emergency, did not and will not apply for and receive a loan under the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, that is made on or after December 27th, 2020, and the PNP requesting services must have a low-income student percent of 22% or greater. Keep in mind that the low-income percentage was a requirement added by the Department of Education. It is possible that some non-public schools that receive services or assistance under the CRRSA EANS program will not meet the threshold for enrolling a significant percentage of students from low-income families or being most impacted by the COVID-19 emergency under the ARP EANS 2 program. Due to this percentage, we anticipate fewer schools will be able to participate. For the 22% requirement, schools will calculate that percentage as part of their application process. Next, we have a timeline overview for the ARP EANS 2 program. The application will be released through TEA EANS program website on February the 1st. 60 days later, or April 1st, 2022, is the application deadline by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. The last date for TEA to review and make determinations on applications will be April the 30th of 2022, and funding allocations will be announced on our program website on or before May 29th, 2022. And finally, the last day for schools to receive services under ARP EANS 2 will be on September 30th, 2024. Although schools have 60 days to submit their application, TEA encourages all schools to submit their applications as early as possible. In addition, the May 29th, 2022 funding allocations announcement only confirms the service and allocation amounts to the schools. Due to the statewide procurement process being followed by a TEA-approved third-party contractor, schools can request the services and assistance no earlier than August 2022. The ARP EANS 2 program has the following program requirements. TEA is required per statute to target and prioritize funding to private nonprofit schools who have a significant percentage of low-income students and schools most impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Schools may not receive both ARP EANS 2 and a PPP loan after December 27th, 2020. If your school has accepted and received a PPP loan after this date, schools should notify TEA via email no later than June 1st, 2022 at eans@tea.texas.gov. And another requirement is that services must be secular, neutral, and non-ideological. Additional program requirements include the following. TEA cannot limit services a school requests in their application. TEA may limit services to be provided based on the total volume of applications received and services requested. Schools may not receive and duplicate benefits from ESSER 1 equitable services, a PPP loan, or CRRSA EANS 1. Schools will be asked to certify that assistance and services being requested in their ARP EANS 2 application have not already been applied for in the CRRSA application, if applicable. And schools that applied and received funding under the CRRSA EANS 1 program are still eligible to apply and receive services under the ARP EANS 2 application. This intent is to ensure that there is no duplication of benefits And remember, both new and returning schools can apply for ARP EANS 2 as long as they meet the application requirements and program deadline. One significant change for the ARP EANS 2 compared to the previous CRIS application is related to allowable services and assistance. For the ARP EANS 2 program, there is only one area of services and assistance available to schools in the application. In the Part 1 part of the application, requests for procurement of services and assistance that will occur from August 2022 to September 30th, 2024. Note that procurement of services or assistance will be provided by a contracted third-party provider, and also note that no reimbursements are allowed under this program. The selected third-party vendor will be following statewide procurement processes, and as a result, schools can begin submitting requests no earlier than August 2022. Next, we have a list of the 12 categories that schools can request within the ARP EANS 2 application. Requests for the procurement of services and assistance that will occur from August 2022 to September 30th, 2024, and they will be provided via a third-party provider and include the following: supplies to sanitize, disinfect, and clean school facilities. That does not include staff training on sanitation. Personal protective equipment or PPE. That does not include staff training on the use of PPE. Improving ventilation systems, including windows or portable air purification systems. Training and professional development for staff on sanitation, the use of PPE, and minimizing the spread of infectious diseases. Physical barriers to facilitate social distancing. Other materials, supplies, or equipment recommended by the CDC for reopening and operation of school facilities to effectively maintain health and safety. Expanding capacity to administer coronavirus testing to effectively monitor and suppress the virus. Educational technology. Redeveloping instructional plans for remote or hybrid learning or to address learning loss. Leasing sites or spaces to ensure social distancing. Reasonable transportation costs, and initiating and maintaining education and support services or assistance for remote or hybrid learning or to address learning loss. The ARP EANS 2 program also has some unallowable assistance or services. The following activities may not be provided by TEA or a third-party provider: subgrants to PNPs, payroll to PNP staff or FTEs, costs for janitorial or cleaning services to clean buildings. Supplies are allowed, but not the actual cleaning service. Substitute teachers while PNP teachers are out with COVID-19. Touchless toilets, faucets, or similar touchless items. Any permanent structures, permanent renovations or remodeling of existing school facilities, or any assistance or service determined not to be reasonable, necessary, or allowable under the ARP EANS 2 program. Here again are TEA EANS program resources available to schools, including our program website, FAQ and submission link, and our EANS team email, eans@tea.texas.gov. And again, another reminder that we have the additional resources for part of the application from the Texas Department of Human Services, as well as guidance from the Department of Education. Next, we will have a demonstration of the live online application, and I will turn it over to my colleague, Nick Davis.
All righty, thanks so much, Lawrence. So where are you going to access the ARP EANS 2 application? So on the slide here, we have a link that's going to take you directly to this. You will also be seeing it on the TEA EANS webpage, as well as an email notification going out to all private nonprofit schools that are on our Gov delivery service, as well as through TEPSAC as well. So you're going to click on that application. It's going to take, or click on that link. It's going to take you to the application. The application will close and you will not be able to submit after April 1st, 2022 at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you have any technical issues with your application as you fill it out, you can contact us at eans@tea.texas.gov. If you need to make any changes to your application or to request that the application be reopened for any changes, You have to note that this will push you down in the queue as we will be reviewing on a revolving basis. So the ones that come in earliest will be reviewed first, and it will just be a queue based on when they were submitted. Again, no changes will be accepted after the application ends on April 1st, 2020 by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing my screen to show you the live application here. So the live application here is done again via Qualtrics. As you can see, it has the application due date listed on there of April 1st, 2022 by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. It has some program highlights here that Lawrence already went over in the slide deck, as well as the eligibility requirements that a private nonprofit school must meet to be eligible for services and assistance in the EANS 2 program. We have an overview of the program timeline here. We have a link here. This will take you to the TEA's EANS webpage for more information. And you can also get a PDF copy of the application using this link here. You can use this to fill out a paper copy prior to filling out an electronic copy of the application. We are not taking paper copies, so you will have to electronically submit via Qualtrics for us to actually process and review your application. All right, so the first bit of information here is your contact information. So you're gonna go and you're gonna put the name of your school in here, your mailing address as well, the email that you want the authorized representative of your school. So this is the individual that we will have on our contact sheet for our point of contact for your particular school. And they will also receive the application once it has been submitted. You can also share and forward this email to other individuals in the school as you wish, but this will be the point of contact that the EANS team will use to reach out about any issues or any problems we have with your application. You will then put in a phone number here of your school. Then you would need to put in the authorized representative's name here. Go ahead and put in my name. You'll need to sign with a mouse. I don't do very good, but I'm going to give it a shot. There's my signature. And then you will date when that signature was put into the application. Next, you're going to have the entity. So either you are one eligible private nonprofit school or you'd be a consortium. So if you're a consortium, you would click the second option here, and there's an additional form that you need to fill out to list all of these schools in the group or the consortium or a diocese, for example, and you would need to fill that out. But for purposes of this application, I'm just going to be a one private nonprofit school. All right, so next you have this assurance that you understand that all of the following assurances must be applicable to and checked by the PMP to be eligible for the ARP EANS 2 program. If no is selected on any of these assurances, your school/PMP is ineligible for the EANS program. So this you would need to click yes to go to the next screen. So next we have the eligibility assurances. And as was previously noted, if you click no on any of these 7 options, your school is not eligible to participate in the ARP EANS 2 program. So I'd go through here and I would click yes on all of these if they are applicable to my particular school. The new addition here is that your PMP requesting services has a low income student percentage of 22% or greater. Again, as Lawrence mentioned, this is a eligibility threshold put on by the United States Department of Education so that the TEA or state agencies will target schools that have higher amounts of low income students, as well as those most affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's say, for instance, that I click no on one of these. So I click 6 yes, and then maybe I can't hit the 22% or greater threshold. And I'm going to click move on. You're going to get a notice here that you are not eligible for funding under the ARP EANS 2 program. If you cannot certify all 7 of these assurances, you cannot continue the application. You're done at this point. You can exit out of the application and you're done. Let's say I just made an error and I needed to go back, and yes, I can verify that I can hit that threshold. I would click yes for all 7, and it'll let me move forward here. So the next part here is the low income data. So this is changed from CRISA EANS 1. There are 3 options for data to be used by your school for your low income student percentage. So you have to note that if your PMP's low income percentage is less than 22%, you are ineligible again to receive ARP EANS 2 funding per the requirements that have been set out by the Department of Education. So you have to meet all of the eligibility requirements plus now this low income percentage of 22% or greater. All right, so for instance here, you would put in the total student enrollment of the school in the 2019-2020 year. So let's say I have 100 students enrolled for that year, and 50 of those children are from low income families. So my percentage here would be 50%. I meet the threshold of 22% or higher. Then I would go down here, and as you can see, it is a very radical difference from CRISA EANS 2 or CRISA EANS 1 for the actual sources of data that you can use. So you have 3 options here: free or reduced price lunch data, scholarship or financial assistance data that is similar to free or reduced price lunch eligibility, and then third is E-rate data. So these are the only 3 data sources that a private nonprofit school has to use as their calculation of their particular percentage. So let's say I say free or reduced price lunch data, and I would be able to move forward from here. But let's say that I only have 20 students that are low income, meaning that my percentage is now 20%, which is lower than the 22% threshold. You're going to get a notification here again, notifying you that you must meet or exceed the state's low income or significant poverty percentage of 22% or greater. So again, if you can't get past this step and you can't verify your data that it is going to be 22% or above, again, you would be done at this stage in the application. And what's going to be different this time as well is that at certain points throughout the application window, we will be randomly selecting and validating low-income data from private nonprofit schools using a random process. You'll be asked to provide that data so that we can verify that you are meeting that percentage that you did put on the application, and just verifying that against what was submitted to the TEA for purposes of making sure that we're consistent with the federal guidelines laid out here. But again, we'll go back to 50% and we'll say I have a 50% low income threshold. So we would click next, and that's going to let me move forward here. So this again is a significant change from CRISA EANS 1. If you note in CRISA EANS 1, you just completed checkboxes of the impact that your school was dealing with from the pandemic. This time, there's actual data that you're going to be pulling from the Texas Health and Human Services COVID data dashboard. So you're going to be identifying 3 things for us. So first, the county that your PMP resides in. Secondly, number of cases in your county at the time you're filling out the application. And the last one, again, at the time you're filling out the application, the number of COVID-19 related deaths or fatalities in your county. And for ease of access, we have put the data link here. Do note you're going to want to right click on this and click open link in new tab. It's going to allow you to open a new tab that's going to have the dashboard open in one tab, and you're going to continue to have the application open in the other tab. So I'm going to click that. It's going to take us here to this dashboard, and it updates in real time. So whenever you are filling out the application, it's going to be the most accurate, up-to-date information that you can provide. So for example, we'll go to the county that I'm from, that my family lives in, Hill County, and we're going to pull the data here. So you're going to find your county and you're going to click on it, and you're going to be shown this information here. So for cases, the number of cases in your county, you're going to pull this confirmed cases amount here. So mine would be 6,405 cases. I'd go back to the application and put 6,405. I would need to also put Hill County there as well. And then need to go back and get the number of COVID-19 fatalities at the time, and mine would be 184. I input all of that information and click next. So next is the certification about the Paycheck Protection Program and ESSER 1 equitable service. So did the school receive a loan guaranteed under the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, on or before December 27th, 2020? Let's say that my school did. I would click yes. So the amount of that loan, let's say it was $50,000. There's an additional assurance here that assures that any funds received under the ARP EANS 2 program will not be services or assistance that is not already funded by the Paycheck Protection Program. I would click yes to that. If I click no, there will be an error message saying you are not eligible because we do need you to certify that there is no duplication of benefits here. Next is, did the school receive equitable services from your local school district under the CARES Act ESSER 1 program? And let's say again, my school did receive that, yes. There's an additional assurance here as well that goes back to, we want to verify and certify that there's going to be no duplication of benefit from these other additional programs, as well as the ARP EANS 2 program. I would click yes, because again, clicking no would not let me move forward with the application. All right, next we're going to get into the services and assistance that your school is going to be requesting. So this has changed quite a bit from CRISA EANS 1. Again, Lawrence laid out what is able to be requested, as well as unallowable items as well. So you'd click next here. You're going to be presented with this. So this is the request for future assistance or services. So as you can see, you do not have a narrative paragraph like you did for CRISA EANS 1. It is strictly a dollar amount associated with the particular category of service and assistance. So you do have to fill out all of these dollar amounts. If you're not requesting something, you still have to put a 0 as the dollar amount, because as we're processing these, we want to just make sure that you looked at all of these and that they have all been completely filled out, so that you went through all of the categories and made sure that they were filled out accordingly. So the real purpose of taking the narrative out is because since these items are going to be procured by a third-party vendor that TEA selects, there is going to be an additional kind of check and balance on things that you can request or things that you are wanting to procure for the ARP EANS 2 program, as well as TEA will also be working with our third-party vendor to verify either allowable or unallowable items that you are requesting. So here, let's say for supplies to sanitize, for Lysol, Clorox, bleach, those sorts of things, I would put, I need $10,000 worth of that. Let's say I'm good on PPE, I would put 0 there. I do not, I'm not requesting anything there. Let's say I would like to get some more portable air purifiers, and I think those are going to cost around $50,000. Training and professional development, let's say I have a program lined out that's going to be around $15,000. Let's say I need no physical barriers. Let's say that other supplies or equipment such as hand sanitizer, things of that caliber, I would stick in this section, or that's what would come out of this section. Let's say for here, I just have $5,000. I need some hand sanitizer for my private school. Let's say that we're not going to expand capacity or try and have any testing services on campus, so we would put 0. Educational technology, let's say we want to get new Chromebooks or new laptops or new smart boards for our school, and we're estimating that that cost is going to be $150,000. Do keep in mind that the dollar amounts here are estimates. So a lot of this onus is on the private school to kind of estimate what that cost would be. You are, of course, bound to what you put in this particular part of the application. So be as accurate and as close to what you're wanting as possible. Of course, keep in mind that there still will be a review process of the items you are wanting to procure to determine for allowability, as well as to make sure that they are reasonable costs as well. Redeveloping instructional plans. Let's say I'm wanting to get some additional training for my teachers about how to deal with kind of this hybrid learning environment and to deal with learning loss. Let's say that's going to be a $60,000 program. Let's say I don't need to lease any additional sites or spaces for social distancing. Not really in need of transportation. And then we have initiating and maintaining education and support services. So let's say I'm wanting to get some tutors or something around that caliber. And let's say that I believe that those are going to cost around $200,000 for the life of the program until the end of the service date, which is September 30th of 2024. I would put that information in there. So as you can see, I filled out the entire, all 13 categories here. Any categories I'm not requesting services or assistance in, I did put a 0. You will have to do that to move forward with the application. So after this, you'll click next. It's going to take you to, again, another new part of the ARP EANS 2 program. There is a possibility that if there's funding remaining after schools have applied within the 60-day window, that we might have the opportunity to have a statewide professional development kind of program for schools that are participating in the ARP EANS 2 program. None of this is set in stone. We're just trying to kind of gauge whether schools would be interested or not interested if this program was available to private nonprofit schools participating in the program. So let's say that, yes, my school is interested in participating in these if possible. Do note that attendance will be limited to approved schools based on allocation prioritization. So what that means is based on when we go through and we look at your allocation and we weight your allocation and we prioritize schools with a higher weight over those with a lower weight, that is how kind of the seats of the program in general would be allocated as well. We would click next and we get this end screen here, and you would also click next. So this is the final page here. This is the final submission. So before going past this point, if you want to go back, you can go all the way back to the beginning of the application and work your way back to re-verify all of your information for your particular school. So of course, remember, applications that are received on or before the submission deadline will be reviewed and responded to within the 30-day review period based on your recorded date of the application, which is the recorded date that we get when you hit submit in Qualtrics. So it's a revolving basis that, schools that get their application in, it goes off of when you submitted your application. So we'll go through and we'll hit submit. We're done. All right, so you're going to be taken to this screen here, and you will have the opportunity, again, you can scroll down, see all the information that I input, that we put into the application. There's also this download PDF option here. So if you're wanting to distribute this to other members of staff at the private school or just keep for your records, I would download this, save it on your computer, and keep it. TA will also have a copy of it, but we're going to ask that you also download a copy of it and keep for your records. You will also receive an email that has all the information that you put on your application in a more simplified text format in an email that will also can also serve as your information and when your application was submitted. I would also keep that for your records, and you can forward that along to other members of staff in your business office or something of that caliber to have them aware that the application was submitted. Here's what we asked, here's the data and things that we put into the application. All right, so from there, that is the application completed for the school. It's a lot more streamlined and than the CRISA EANS 1 application, but again, keep in mind, we will be randomly validating the low income data of certain schools, and we will also be double checking the county of residence and things of that caliber for that your school inputted on their application. And we'll hop back over to the slide deck. All right, so again, here's the information about how and where to access this. Again, it will be posted on TEA's EANS webpage as well as an email through Gov delivery to private nonprofit schools that are on our current list. All right, so the next steps. So the first step is to complete your application in Qualtrics. You can use the link that's in the email as well as the link that will be posted on TEA's EANS website. Second, the EANS team, we have 30 days from your recorded date of application to review and notify PMPs of their application status. There will be different types of notifications. We might ask for clarification, additional information, such as the low income validation or something of that caliber. We will also confirm your application has been submitted, has been received, and has been approved by the Texas Education Agency. We will also, if there is any issues with your low income data, or if you can't verify your low income data, there might be the possibility of a rejected application as well. And we'll also highlight reasons for ineligibility of the ARP EANS 2 program. Again, service allocations will be published on or before May 29th of 2022 on the TEA EANS website. Again, this does not serve as your notice of grant award. This is just the allocation that your school received from what we received from their application after it was ran through a funding formula that we'll talk about here in a second. And the last one is that schools can begin to request procurement of services and assistance from TEA's contracted third-party provider on or after August of 2022. Please do not reach out to the contracted third party until on or after this date. They don't want to get bombarded with it. And we ultimately, due to statewide procurement processes, it is not reasonable to expect that the third-party vendor will be able to provide services and assistance prior to August of 2022. All right, so allocation. So again, they'll be posted on TEA's EANS webpage on or before May 29th, 2022. So the amounts will be weighted based on your low income student percentage. Again, note that the sources of low income data are limited to the 3 that are listed in the application, as well as the 3 that are listed on the ARP EANS 2 TEA webpage. We'll also be taking a look at the your COVID-19 impact, so your cases and fatality rates. So what we're going to do for this is at the end of the application window, so on April 1st, we will pull a file from the Department of Human Services that is a snapshot since March of 2020 of COVID cases, confirmed cases, and fatalities for the entire state of Texas. We'll be running an average of cases and fatalities and comparing your schools for that particular day, your cases and fatalities against that average amount over time until April 1st, again, of 2022. And we will assign a weight to your school. So your school weight could be a 1, which would mean that your funding allocation would be what you applied for. There's also a very good possibility that your school's weighted amount will be less than 1, meaning that there will be a reduction of some amount based on the weights that we have assigned for both the low income student percentage as well as your COVID-19 impact. So these will be ran and they will ultimately affect your allocation. So there's no guarantee that your allocation will stay what you applied for. There's a possibility that the formula will reduce allocations based on the way that your school was assigned from what you put into the application. So those will be ran after all applications have been processed by TEA. And then, of course, during the process of this, TEA will randomly validate your low income data to verify your percentage, as well as verify the data source that you're pulling that as well. And that is all for the allocations. And again, these will go live on or before May 29th of 2022. And we are currently working on kind of the formula and what that's going to look like, but we do know that you will be weighted based on your low income student percentage, as well as your COVID-19 impact, which is your cases for your county, confirmed cases for your county at the time, as well as the fatalities in your county at the time. And I'll turn it back over to Lawrence to finish us off here.
Thank you, Nick. So we have some application reminders and tips for the ARP EANS 2 application. Schools are responsible for saving a PDF copy of their completed application. Check your inbox, possibly spam or junk folder for that email that's coming once you successfully complete and submit your application via Qualtrics. It'll be coming from noreply@tea.texas.gov. As long as you receive that email, that is your school's confirmation that you successfully submitted your application to TEA in the Qualtrics system. Remember also that there is only one authorized representative at your school. So if that individual that listed their email on the application receives the confirmation email, please be sure to share it with your campus partners, especially those individuals, say in accounting or the business department, that'll be helping you with the overall EANS application at your particular school. Plan ahead for the April 1st, 2022 deadline of 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. Applications will be processed in the order received and based on the recorded submission date. And please be sure to allow for additional time for procurement of services. Another tip for schools is to check the related ARP EANS 2 dates and deadlines. We have the link available for you on the left side that'll direct you to our EANS program website for the up-to-date, most recent information on our deadline. And the right side has that information coming also from not only the website, but on the ARP EANS 2 application. So you've got the February start of the application, March 1st is when the applications close, April 30th is the last day for TEA to approve and review applications, May 29th are the allocation dates, August of 2022 is when schools can begin submitting services to the third-party contractor, and September 30th of 2024 is the last day for schools to receive services under ARP EANS 2. Again, we have this on the application and our TEA website. The EANS team will hold live Q&A sessions for the ARP EANS 2 application and will be available soon. Schools can register through the EANS program webpage and will be sent a link once they are officially registered. We will provide that information through our EANS team website as soon as that becomes available. So please check our website for that information. These times will be dedicated to schools who have questions regarding the ARP EANS 2 application process. We recommend that you review the live Qualtrics application first and then attend one of the sessions if you have questions. Remember that a printable PDF of the application is available to schools who would like to do initial planning with their campus team members. And also that emailed PDFs to TEA email is not acceptable. You must submit your application electronically via Qualtrics. Application training will not be provided during these Q&A sessions. Here again is our program contact information. If your school has any questions, we do ask that you contact us at the email provided on the far right, EANS@tea.texas.gov, for our EANS team to review and respond to your school. This concludes TEA's statewide training on the ARP EANS 2 application. We appreciate your time and thank you for joining us today.